Okay, so we've got our basic arrangement, or we've got our arrangement, and there's some other things that we could do to make sure that things work properly and work well. For instance, this sound here. Does it actually fit with this sound? Or for instance, does it fit with this sound? Let's have a listen. Yeah, but those two are a bit more difficult. So there's little methods you can do. For one, if they sound so similar, don't play them together. Find another way of arranging them. See, for instance, now these two sound similar, but I'm fading that one in when that one's playing full, and I'm fading that one out when that one's playing full, so I get away with it. But let's say I wasn't doing that. You can use a thing called opposition panning, because they're similar sounds. Now what we can do is, if they're clashing so much, there's several things you can do. Put one of them up an octave. Doesn't have to be an octave. If you've got one, say it's playing on, I don't know, C, and the other one is on C as well, try and move them around the key. So instead of putting it up an octave, put it up a fifth or a third. Whatever, just to give them some room so that they're not in the same register, really, so that they're not competing for exactly the same frequencies. But again, the other way you can do it is you can pan them, opposition panning. So for instance, the acid 2 sound, what I could do here is use a stereo dual panner. I can leave it centered but pan it hard left, and then this sound here, I can use the stereo dual panner, leave that centered but pan that one hard right. So now what do we have? Stereo separation. Still playing in the centre, but it's also out to the left and right, opposite of each other, so you can hear them better. So that's a way of doing it, and I'll leave it like that for the time being. Also, if when you're playing stuff and stuff like, let's say an arrangement was like this. Oh, I've copied the wrong one there, haven't I? So let's say our arrangement was like this. Okay, there's no real need for that to be there. It's not adding to the track, so get rid of it. And do we really need that percussion sound there when we've just introduced two of the main leads? Maybe. It might work. So what I'm saying is thin stuff out. A huge mistake people make is just having too much stuff going on at once. You don't have to have it all at the same time. And also, what you're doing is freeing up space when you're getting rid of stuff that really doesn't need to be there. You're freeing up space for the stuff that does need to be there to breathe. Makes it easier to mix. Gives it its own space. So, but we'll leave those two there for the time being, just for fun to see what happens. Also, do things like this. So, like that's 1, 2, 3 that's played for. On the fourth one, as I said about the third route, I don't really like following that rule with my bass and my drums, but I've made it different. I did chop out that section. I could have done something else. You could do things like, I don't know, reverse or, you know, whatever. You can do whatever, but I prefer like that. So again, try and sort that out. Now that we've kind of got our arrangement sorted, remember, your arrangement will be much better than this because you'll have a whole track done and you'll have spent a bit of time. But even that, you don't even have to spend a bit of time. Just do a basic arrangement first. Get the arrangement out of the way. Just do a basic arrangement. Get all your sounds sorted. But again, make sure your sounds... A great idea is to choose sounds that are unique from each other. You know, you wouldn't want to have 5 sounds that are like acidy type sounds, unless you've got specific places for them where they don't play together. So just pick your sounds sensibly. You don't have to do any processing at that point. Just be creative and get a really nice creative arrangement going. So this is our creative arrangement. Now we're going to get into the mixing. Now, depending on the way you work, you might think I've done too much already and it's too much like hard work. Well, that's up to you. But I've got loads of other processes I go through first. The next one's setting up simple balancing tasks that I do, like levels, panning. If I've done any multing, which is maybe if you've got a vocal and you've cut out bits of the vocal and you've got like all on different channels, you would analyse that for phasing problems. And this is also where I'll start to kind of remove low frequency crap from all the sounds that I've got and do a basic level mix. It's just a balance mix. This isn't even the basic level mix. This is just a balance between these two. Okay, you can, at the moment you can't see anything because I'm using my MIDI controller to control these, but obviously you would be doing it with your mouse or your MIDI controller if you've got it set up. So I'm looking for a nice level on my drums, and I'm going to put my master out to -6. It's just the way I work, gives me loads of headroom. Okay, that's not so bad. Okay, so we can get on with that now. So what we got playing here together, we've got that and this kind of background sound. So I'm just going to balance them together. It's just a quick balance. Basically what I'm doing here is just making a quick balance so I can hear everything together. So I'm going to move along to the next section, and the next thing to come in is the bass. This all changes later on when I start to work with other stuff. Wait a minute, I've lost my ducking compression. Just give me 2 seconds. Okay, I've got my my ducking back for my vocal. As you can hear when I speak, the audio dies. So that's obviously happened when I reset the mixer. So we were on the bass. Okay, they sound okay to me. On to the next bit. Okay, so we've got us the wood percussion. And the acid one. Okay, something else I would also do here is, which I completely forgot about. Generally my bass would be stereo, the stereo combined panner and centered, just to give it true mono. So I might have to mix that in again. So okay, we'll move along to the next one so I can actually hear the acid. Okay, that sounds fine to me. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm doing a basic level mix at the moment, just so I can hear everything. Okay, we've got that. We'll come along here just so I can mix this one in. And then I think that's us almost there. Okay, that sounds about right. Okay, that sounds not bad on the headphones, but so I hope that doesn't sound too bad to you. So what we've done there is a basic mix, a basic balancing mix. It's not my basic mix yet. The reason I've done that is so I can hear everything, and so that what I would normally do now is deal with the panning. So for instance, if I had a kick, a snare, an open hi-hat, a closed hi-hat, bongos, whatever, I would start to do the panning now. So I've really done this bit too fast, really, so... See, I can't hear that at all now. Oh, that's because it's fading in, that's why. Okay, it sounds good there. Okay, so that's my basic level mix done. I would have done panning in here as well. So now, the reason I've done that is, as I said, is so I can hear everything, because now I'm going to do the first piece of processing. And that first piece of processing will be tidying up the bottom end. Now you can use filters for this, but I just prefer to use an EQ. And use the EQ, oh that's dynamics, and use the EQ bands to do it. Where is my FabFilter Pro Q? There it is. And I'll just copy that over. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll work on my drums, and what I'm going to do is really I'm just moving all the bottom end. So things to think about when you're doing this. Obviously you're going to be using a high pass filter. You can use any depth you like. 48 sometimes can add in unwanted sounds, artifacts really, especially around the cutoff point, depending on the EQ. This one doesn't actually do that, so we can actually use the 48, but I like to be a bit gentle. Tips for doing this. Basically, if you can't hear it, you don't need it. That's the way I work. On this stage anyway, and especially with this kind of music, it's not as if I'm using any real sub-bass. It may differ for other genres, but really, I like to have a clean bottom end. That sounds a bit strange, but there you have it. So normally what I do is I'll turn up the frequency on the sound. As soon as I hear the turning up of the frequency start to affect the sound, I'll back off. Maybe, I don't know, 10%, 15%, 20%, something like that. Just to where I like it really. So let's listen. Right, I can see there's nothing there anyway. But I'm going to move this down until I hear it affecting the drums. In fact, let's find her. Okay. Right, that's obviously too far. It's affecting it there. Just bring it back a bit. I'm going to drop that on to 30. I'm happy with that there. Next one. So again, just turn the frequency up. Okay, so I'd say about there. So let's just drop it to 40 Hz. Let's see if I can... I've got no idea what that sound is. I don't even know if you guys can hear it. It may be an electrical problem, my end. So I'll just keep working as what I was doing, and I won't worry about it. Okay, so I've tidied up my bass, and you do that with the rest of them. So let's go on to the next one. Okay, so move the frequency up until you hear it affecting the sound. Okay, that's too much. That's enough. Next one. Okay. Okay, it's okay there. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just cleaning up the bottom end of everything. Just getting rid of any excess low frequencies that might be there that will cause problems with the kick and the bass. See, look at all this stuff that's down at, that's down at 18 Hz, 20 Hz, 21 Hz, 22 Hz, but it doesn't need to be there. So if you watch, if you listen, see, look, there's energy here, but does it need to be there? It's causing problems with headroom, it's causing problems with the kick and the bass. See, none of that needs to be there. I haven't even heard any change yet. Okay, it's changing. So I'm happy with that sound there. And I would imagine it's going to be the same with this. Okay, so same again. Now this sound is actual mid-range high frequency sound, so we can be really cruel with this one. We don't really need the bottom end. I think that's okay there. And the mellow lead. Okay, that doesn't need any bottom end whatsoever. Okay, that's fine. So that's all the bottom end being cut out of these tracks that doesn't need to be there. So let's see what it sounds like without the processing. With the processing. Okay, you don't really hear that much difference, but I definitely did hear the overall sound clear up. It's definitely cleaner for sure. Without quite a bit of bass rumble. Quite a bit of bass rumble. Yeah, it definitely makes a difference. Okay. I'm going to finish this video now and move on to the next one.